Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be reacting to how made something like that. How are how is bubble how is bubblegum made? This one right here. Alright, let's see. I'm going to be reacting.
Chewing gum dates back to the ancient Greeks who chewed resin from trees. Modern chewing gum was patented in the U.S. in 1869 by, believe it or not, a dentist. In 1928, another American invented bubble gum. Bubble gum comes in gumballs of all colors
I haven't had bubble gum in like a year.
and sizes. But for blowing bubbles, nothing beats the chewy, gooey pink stuff in the twist wrap.
Yummy.
It all starts with a gum base, the stuff that makes gum chewy. Traditionally, the base came from tree resin. Today, it's synthetic, made of plastics and rubber.
Plastics and rubber? This chamber looks weird. Oh, is that like the bubblegum like sticking on it? That's kind of cool.
Rubbers. They pour the gum base into a mixer. Then add color and flavoring.
That looks very pink.
As it begins mixing, they pour in glucose syrup, a sweetener. Because it's liquid, it helps keep the gum base soft. Next, they add dextrose, a powdered sweetener.
Looks like boba.
They blend the ingredients for about 20 minutes. The stirring action builds up heat, which melts everything together.
That's gross. Oh my god, that looks yummy. I'll scoop it with my hands.
The mixture's ready when it reaches the consistency of bread dough. They transfer it by cart to a machine called the pre-extruder. The machine squeezes the mixture through a narrow opening, like squeezing toothpaste from the tube. This transforms the big, bulky wad into thin, manageable strips that can then go through the extruders. The extruders squeeze each strip down to the actual width of a piece of bubble gum. It comes out as one long, continuous stream to be cut into bite-sized pieces later on. This extrusion process heats up the gum. If they were to cut and wrap it now, it would stick to the wrapper. So the next stop is a cooling chamber. The gum goes in for 15 minutes at between 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. When the bubble gum comes out, it's cooled down enough for what they call the cut and wrap. One machine does both jobs in a fraction of a second. Watch the action in slow motion. As the continuous stream of gum enters on one end, the machine cuts it into bite-sized pieces, pushes each piece into a wax paper wrapper, then twists both ends of the wrapper closed. Here's the slow motion replay from a different angle. The The machine processes 900 pieces of bubble gum per minute. Last stop, packaging. The bubble gum moves on to a scale that automatically weighs out the right amount per tub. They seal the tub with plastic to make it airtight. This keeps the bubble gum fresh. Ever wonder why bubble gum is pink? It's because that's the only color Walter Deemer had on hand when he invented this treat back in 1928. Since then, the color just stuck.
Oysters. Ew. Okay, so chores. We have a choice here. We have how jawbreakers are made. Ew. No, never mind. Do you think we have a hot dogs one? Because I'm thinking about hot dogs. How a hot dog is made. Okay. Let's see. Oh my god, they do. Hot dogs are actually made. How it's made. I think I will follow how it's made. I don't care.
Hot dogs are an all-American fare, but most likely it was German sausage makers who first came up with the idea. In fact, there are reports of German immigrants selling them from push carts in New York's Bowery as far back as the 1860s. A century and a half later, hot dogs are still the #1 treat on the street. Traditional hot dogs are made from a mix of pork, beef, and chicken. The cuts they start with are called trimmings, pieces of meat left over from cutting steaks or pork chops. The trimmings are ground the same way butchers chop up hamburger meat, by pushing the cuts through grated metal plates. Processed chicken trimmings are added to the ground meat, followed by food starch, salt, and other flavorings. These flavorings vary depending on where the hot dogs are to be sold, because people in different regions have different tastes. Water is sprayed into the mix, and everything is blended together in a big vat. Corn syrup adds a dash of sweetness. The addition of even more water helps to disperse the ingredients and make the hot dogs juicier.
Why are my hot dogs so wet? I don't want hot dog water.
Another machine then purees the meat batter in.
Okay, I know everyone that has, probably a lot of people have reacted to this, but I know everyone that's reacted said this is poopy, and I'm not gonna say it's poopy. It really looks like it though.
Into a fine emulsion and vacuums out any air.
Why is it so wet and poopy? Ew, wow.
Long rolls of cellulose tubing are loaded into the stuffing machine. It pumps the meat puree into these casings, twisting it every 5 1/4 inches, the length of one hot dog. It takes just 35 seconds to make a chain of hot dogs that would span a soccer field twice. Then, 3 of those hot dog chains are linked together to make an even longer string, and they're loaded several at a time into another machine which drapes the hot dogs onto
When do they turn orange?
the moving racks. The process is carefully timed so that a twist always lands on the bar. The racks shunt the hot dogs through a liquid smoke shower, then into an oven with several cooking zones. The liquid smoke seeps through the casing and adds flavor to the dogs as they bake.
And nobody would. Oh, that's where they turn their natural hue.
Hot out of the oven, these franks are drenched in cold, salty water to chill them in preparation for packaging.
Stop your yapping!
The hot dogs then file down to an unloading zone. Here, a machine pulls them off the bars onto a conveyor. Then, the hot dogs slide off the conveyor into metal containers. If you've been wondering about those black stripes on the casings, all is about to be revealed. The stripe is a marker attached to the casing. The absence of a black stripe means the hot dog is cooked and ready for packaging.
Take them off now.
Inside the peeler machine, a tiny knife slits each casing along the top. Then, steamy air blows the casings right off the dogs. This machine peels 700 hot dogs a minute. An inspector makes sure the casing has been completely removed and that there are no defects in the dogs. Then, it's into a device that looks like a plastic bicycle chain. The sprockets position the hot dogs for packaging. This factory manufactures an incredible 300,000
Fries, I don't care. We're doing one more. I don't care. You know, I'm gonna search up my least favorite candy. I hate jelly beans. Let's see how these atrocious monstrosities are made. Okay. Just play me the ad.
The jelly bean is colourful,
Never mind.
but its beginnings are a bit of a grey area. It's believed that this bean's jelly centre dates back to biblical times and Turkish delight. Many centuries later, the outer shell was added and the jelly bean was on its way.
I hate those nerds jelly beans. Oh God, I hate the nerd jelly beans. Those make my stomach make my stomach turn. I don't like them. They're making my stomach hurt right now. Ow. Okay.
It's a sweet success.
Last time I had them, I threw up. Whoa. What's so wavy?
To make jelly beans, liquid sugar is heated in a kettle to about 175 degrees Celsius. Glucose is added, and then starch.
That's glucose. Okay.
An agitating
Jesus.
device mixes it all together. Elsewhere in the factory, starch spills out of a drum onto large trays. A leveller moves back and forth to even out the starch. The trays then move forward and a brush knocks off the excess to be recycled.
Hey, the rest could be used.
A moulding board now presses down into the starch. It makes 756 jelly bean impressions per tray. The impressions in the starch will serve as moulds for the jelly bean centres.
Something so bad. Now we're here.
Nozzles inject the sugar and starch mix cooked in the kettle into the starch moulds. This system can make almost 1 million jelly bean centres every hour.
A milk.
Next, the conveyor belt takes the jelly bean centres to the drying room, where they stay for 24 hours. This solidifies them and they become chewier.
Look how nasty these are. How do
Arms
people
flip
like
the
these?
trays of centres and starch and dump them into a drum that will separate them.
How do people eat these?
When the trays flip back,
monstrosities?
they're refilled with starch and the moulding process
Oh my
begins
God,
again.
it's genius. Wait, so if the jelly beans and someone else's jelly beans have touched your jelly beans?
Meanwhile,
them
The
a
dried jelly
billion,
bean
billion years
centres,
ago.
now separated from the starch,
What am I
tumble
talking
onto a wire mesh conveyor system.
Just like those little glass marbles.
It transports them to a steam belt, which dampens them. This readies them for the next step, sugar coating.
More sugar.
The jelly bean centres go into a sander drum that tosses them around, while nozzles spray them with sugar.
More sugar. My God. Calm down with the sugar.
In another
I
part
love
of the
candy,
factory,
but
liquid sugar
now
flows
no.
out of a kettle into a tub. Blue food
that's how
colouring
they
is
get
added to the syrup.
looks like converted.
This mix, called the engrossing syrup, is added along with some flavouring to the jelly bean centres as
Why
they
are they
tumble
spinning?
around in a tilted spinning pan.
Breaking Bad?
Sugar is added to the sticky blue
Oh my
mixture.
God.
This process is repeated 4 times in order to build up a coating around the gummy centre.
Jesus.
The next day, when the
Calm
beans
down
have
on the
hardened,
sugar.
hot syrup is added, and the beans are tossed around again. This polishes the jelly beans.
God.
There's a lot of sweet stuff here. 124,000 jelly
Yeah?
beans in each pan.
This sounds good.
A little wax is added. Nice. And as the pan spins, the beans rub against each other,
Yes, they add more
distributing the wax. This adds gloss to the polish.
They just add more sugar. Good. If jelly beans
Then
were
the
just
pan
yellow,
stops
I would
spinning,
eat them.
and the jelly beans air dry for 24 hours to allow the glaze to set. After 3.5 days, this big batch
Hollow
of jelly
purple
beans
jelly
is
beans.
ready. They move in a multicoloured mass along a series of conveyors. They fall into a scale system that divides them into portions. Then a trapdoor opens and they drop down a chute to the packaging department. Once they're in the bag, the jelly beans are ready to sweeten your day.
They don't sweeten my day. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'ma upload this. And this was a lazy video because I didn't feel like doing anything. But don't you worry, I'ma upload on Saturday. I promise. I pinky promise. Bye bye.